Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Tuesday, May 12th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. A clear sign that we're not out of the woods yet, even as restrictions are lifted. Today, San Diego County reported 15 more people have died from the coronavirus. This after 3 straight days without someone dying. There are also 96 new cases. This news comes as more people will soon head back to work and guidelines are set to reopen restaurants. The nation's top doctors are warning Congress against reopening the country too quickly. Karen Caifa is in Washington with the latest.
A warning from the nation's top health experts on the coronavirus pandemic ravaging the country.
It's important to emphasize that we're not out of the woods yet.
More than 80,000 people in the United States have died after testing positive for the virus. Dr. Anthony Fauci, a key member of the White House coronavirus task force, cautioned the death toll is likely higher and predicted dire consequences if states open too soon.
My concern is that we will start to see little spikes that might turn into outbreaks.
The Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions hearing showcased just how much COVID-19 has disrupted everyday life. Senator Lamar Alexander chaired the committee while in self-quarantine. Witnesses testified remotely, and some on Capitol Hill wore masks. But the social distancing didn't stop the tension.
And as much as I respect you, Dr. Fauci, I don't think you're the end all. I don't think you're the one person that gets to make a decision.
I'm a scientist, a physician, and a public health official. I give advice according to the best scientific evidence.
Finding an effective vaccine is crucial to beating COVID-19. While there are promising developments, experts say a vaccine is not expected by the time students return to school this fall.
The idea of having treatments available or a vaccine would be something that would be a bit of a bridge too far.
And while the coronavirus outbreak appears to be easing in some places, the fight is far from over.
I think we're going in the right direction. But the right direction does not mean we have, by any means, total control of this outbreak.
In Washington, Karen Caifa, KPBS News.
House Democrats are proposing a more than $3 trillion stimulus package that includes another round of direct payments. A vote is expected on the HEROES Act on Friday. It provides nearly $1 trillion for states, cities, and tribal governments, $200 billion in hazard pay for essential workers, and $1,200 cash payments to Americans, up to $6,000 per household. Republicans oppose the bill's huge cost and its call for increased funding to state and local governments. KPBS reporter John Carroll has more on the response here in San Diego.
Testing, tracing, and treatment. That trilogy is the foundation of San Diego County's plan to gradually emerge from the crisis brought on by COVID-19. Supervisor Nathan Fletcher says the county is making progress on all three.
We're also sending out the county's library bookmobile and other county vehicles to testing throughout the region, looking for hot spots or particular areas.
And testing was on the governor's mind as well today.
Just in the last 24 hours, we were able to conduct over 41,000 tests.
In fact, the governor says California has now passed 1 million tests since testing started for the virus. But the glass half full, glass half empty analogy comes to mind here. Newsom says we're on target for testing goals laid out a few weeks ago, but logistical issues are proving stubborn.
There are still some issues with swabs and the transport media, issues related to reagents for PCR tests.
Reagents are chemicals used to complete PCR tests. Those are the ones that tell you whether you're positive for COVID-19, as opposed to antibody tests, which tell you if you've already had the virus. As part of expanding testing in the Golden State, Newsom says California's nearly 6,500 pharmacies will now be able to serve as testing sites, provided they follow state guidelines. The governor also announced progress in tracing the contacts of people who've tested positive. The first group of tracers will complete their training by the end of this week.
Today, we're announcing additional modifications statewide for our stay-at-home order that include offices.
For people who can't telework, offices can now reopen with restrictions. Malls of all kinds can now reopen for pickup only. Other modifications for all sorts of other businesses can be found at covid19.ca.gov. You can now go back to dining at your favorite restaurant as long as that restaurant is in either Butte or El Dorado counties. Those jurisdictions have gotten clearance from the state to move further into their Phase 2 reopening. Other rural counties are expected to get approval soon. The rest of us will have to wait a bit longer to dine in at eateries. Guidelines for what restaurateurs must do to reopen once the governor gives the order are at the COVID-19 website.
The restaurant business is tough in the best of times, and today the governor was asked about the prospect for restaurant survival. Newsom, who's a former restaurateur himself, said he was deeply concerned, describing that prospect as profoundly challenging. John Carroll, KPBS News.
San Diego restaurant owners are preparing to work within the state and county guidelines to welcome customers back. Shannon Beckwith and Tina Romano co-own STP Bar and Grill in Claremont. They're creating their safe reopening plan according to county protocols. Today, their staff was busy cleaning and sanitizing the dining room. Romano said they haven't laid anyone off.
We have everybody still on the payroll. That was our primary goal, to keep everybody employed.
For now, STP is doing takeout exclusively and has more limited hours of operation. Because of stay-at-home orders, city crews got to work today on a decades-old problem. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman shows us how they were able to pave the way to a better downtown.
City officials say with stay-at-home orders in effect, traffic on Harbor Drive, one of San Diego's busiest streets, has been cut in half. So for the first time in 20 years, a 3-mile stretch between Ash and Nimitz Boulevard is getting a facelift.
I think it's a great idea. You know, it's nice. It's the main road to the airport and to Point Loma, so it should look in great shape.
For millions of visitors each year, Harbor Drive is the first road they'll take into San Diego after arriving at the airport, and first impressions are important. Part of the paving project includes adding more buffered bike lanes, which give riders more space from cars on the road. There were bike lanes on Harbor Drive before, but many opt to ride along the bayfront, which can present its own challenges.
We just came for a bike ride, and you do hit a lot of runners, pedestrian people walking, some people in strollers, so it does interfere with pedestrian safety and our safety as well.
Taxi drivers are along Harbor Drive all the time, taking passengers to and from the airport. Drivers are welcoming these improvements.
I think it's a good idea. And the reason I think that is because a lot of the roads here, they're really bad. They were crumbling. There's a lot of holes in them. You know, a lot of cars were hitting the dips.
Normally, drivers say this lot is full of taxis picking up people from the airport. But with airline passenger traffic down 95%, it's almost deserted.
It's really been bad. Yeah, since the coronavirus and everything, even here, everything shut down. You know, if you get one fare or two the whole day, you're doing good.
The city says to expect this paving project to last through the middle of next month, though. Keep in mind, if you are coming down to this area, right now, Harbor Drive down by the airport is down to just one lane on both sides. Here in the downtown area, Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
California State University system will continue mostly online for this fall semester. The announcement came today from Chancellor Timothy White. He added predictions of possible COVID-19 case surges later in the year, mandate steps to protect students and faculty. There could be limited exceptions for in-person activities that cannot take place virtually, like clinical classes, lab courses, and engineering programs. The CSU system has been in a virtual instruction since mid-March. As high school seniors come to grips with canceled prom and graduation celebrations, they're wondering what they should do now, if anything. KPBS education reporter Joe Hong explains the options San Diego Unified students are exploring to mark these milestones.
At San Diego Unified School District's board meeting on Tuesday, student leaders will propose ideas on how to carry out end-of-the-year events amid the pandemic. They want the board to approve a plan that includes 3 different possibilities. Ideally, students would have in-person graduations in late July or early August. Those especially vulnerable to the coronavirus would be urged to stay home. The second best scenario would be an in-person ceremony with graduating classes broken up into smaller groups to ensure safe social distancing. And the least desirable option would be a virtual graduation.
I thoroughly hate the idea of doing anything like virtual for like prom or graduation or any other like senior stuff.
Marianne Bird is a senior at San Diego High School. She said it would be more sad to have a virtual graduation and prom than to have nothing at all.
Because it's not the same. It's not, comparable. There's so much like that goes into prom and goes into graduation that's like being there and getting able to like dance with your friends or dance with someone that you are interested in.
Bird would be okay with a later graduation or prom, but she understands that it wouldn't be an option for some of her friends.
I'm a little biased because I'm staying in San Diego, but I know a lot of kids who are going like out of state, out of, like country for college that just doesn't work for.
Regardless, Bird hopes that someday the class of 2020 will be able to make up for all they've had to sacrifice.
Like the class of 2020 has to have like an awesome 10-year reunion or something like that to try and make up for this.
Joe Hong, KPBS News.
We're following all of the latest coronavirus developments for you at kpbs.org. Click on the Tracking COVID-19 link on our homepage and you'll be taken to a page with all of our recent reports. The CEO of the Metropolitan Transit System, Paul Jablonski, has died. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says peers remember him as a dedicated and capable public servant.
MTS CEO Paul Jablonski.
Thank you, Mona. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Jablonski took the helm of MTS 16 years ago. He won national awards for running a clean, safe, and reliable transit service despite limited funding and having to contend with San Diego's historically car-centric culture. Retired County Supervisor Ron Roberts worked with Jablonski for many years and credits him with helping secure a $1 billion federal grant to help fund the upcoming Blue Line trolley extension to University City.
San Diego was recognized as one of the very, very best in the country. And that's, you're right, not the largest system, but one of the most efficient, well-run, progressive systems in the country.
Colin Parent heads the transit advocacy nonprofit Circulate San Diego. He says Jablonski was receptive to criticism and showed leadership during the coronavirus pandemic by quickly implementing new cleaning and social distancing protocols to protect employees and passengers, things he says other transit agencies resisted.
But instead, MTS took it upon themselves and to implement those best practices on their own initiative, which I think they should be recognized for. And, Paul certainly deserves, a great deal of that credit for instilling that kind of culture in the agency.
Jablonski was 67. No cause of death has been announced, though colleagues say he appeared healthy as recently as last Friday. He's survived by his wife, 4 children, and 2 grandkids. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Toxic raw sewage from Mexico continues to be an unsolved problem for San Diego. Now the Environmental Protection Agency wants to spend $300 million to help solve it. The money would be part of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement Implementation Act. It would pay for engineering, planning, design, and construction of a wastewater infrastructure. Imperial Beach Mayor Serge Dedina says the amount of sewage is stunning.
And then it goes in the ocean where it pollutes everything from Playas to Tijuana all the way to Coronado. Sometimes it even reaches Point Loma and goes into San Diego Bay. So it's crazy how bad this is, and it required a big solution and big funding, and we are grateful to our congressional delegation.
The plan still requires approval from the full Congress. What a difference a week makes. Temperatures have cooled off, and there's even a chance of rain. Mark Mancuso has your forecast.
Here's a look at today's weather headlines. Well, with our strong onshore flow, plenty of clouds and areas of fog at the coast, nighttime, morning hours. Then tonight, a weak system will slide on through, and that could give us a few light showers. And after that system passes by, Wednesday into Saturday, a gradual warming trend. Taking a look at our weather today, we've had those strong gusty winds through the mountains and the desert areas. that strong onshore flow. We've seen the cool air come on in. For tonight, plenty of clouds around, and there'll be some light showers moving through in the areas of drizzle near the coast. Oceanside 55, San Diego 63, Ramona's 53 in El Cajon, down to about 59 degrees. And on the futurecast, we can show you what's happening tonight. Look, a couple little green blobs out there. This weak system coming through. So not only do we have low clouds and drizzle, but also a couple of light showers sneaking through the area. And then it's all done by early tomorrow. After that, pleasantly warm weather here for a couple of days. So it does look like our weather will gradually improve. Taking a look at our weather for tomorrow, 86 Borrego Springs, Campo hits 67, San Diego 71, and Oceanside it's 70. Checking on the coast the next couple of days, low clouds breaking up, giving way to some sunshine. Temperatures gradually creeping up, so it'll feel nice and comfortable through the end of the week. As we take you into the inland areas, clouds break up, then we'll start to see some more sunshine, and the temperatures will be getting close to 80 here Friday and Saturday. In the mountains, weather looks refreshing here. Upper 50s give way to mid 60s, and we'll see partly sunny skies. And in the deserts, temperatures on the rise into the upper 90s Saturday and Sunday. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso.
Southwestern Community College's Restorative Justice Program helps prison inmates and those recently released get a college education. But its work has been upended by the coronavirus. KPBS reporter Claire Tregesser takes a look at how students and teachers are working to keep the program going.
Probably not living in the safest housing environment because all of the residents that live at this house, and there's 6 of us total, all have jobs.
Sean Khalifa is standing on the porch of his transitional housing in Talmadge, filming with his phone to show us around.
So we all are out in the community with a potential to bring back coronavirus to our housing.
Khalifa was just released from Donovan Correctional Facility after 16 years. He was charged with felony murder as a teenager and now has served his time. So worrying about getting sick is just one of his challenges right now. Khalifa was counting on getting help from Southwestern College's Restorative Justice Program, which provides an opportunity for inmates to take college classes while they're on the inside and continue working toward their degree on the college's Eastern Chula Vista campus when they get out. But like classes everywhere, Khalifa's are now online only. This is not easy for him.
I never did well in school before being incarcerated, so I always had ADHD. It's hard for me to focus and pay attention and just keep my attention on one thing. So online courses, yeah, I'm not enjoying it. I'm grinding it out though, work hard.
Despite Khalifa's challenges, he's doing really well, says Patrice Milkovich, the program's director. She's more concerned about other students.
Those students are struggling to, some of them have housing insecurity issues, food insecurity issues. They don't have work. It's so hard to see people and work with them without having that face-to-face contact, because the relationships that we build are built on trust, and it's very hard to trust somebody over a text message or a phone call.
The pandemic has also kept the program's teachers from being able to go into prisons to hold classes, but they're doing the best they can with this part of the program as well.
We're here at the Chula Vista campus, Southwestern College, getting prepared for our drive-up student packet handoff.
They pick up completed coursework packets from students in prison, let the papers sit for 48 hours while the germs die, then hand them off to teachers. 2 weeks later, teachers drop off the graded work. Milkovich says they're not giving up, especially because their students need help now more than ever.
Trying to be an ambassador or an ombudsman or an agent, to try to help facilitate and navigate through these very crazy times.
As for Khalifa, life outside prison is not exactly what he expected, at least not so far.
Staying in the house on quarantine, I have this unyielding urge to get outside. I don't ever want to be in the house.
Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
During the pandemic, young people in San Diego have been distanced from the institutions they use to connect with one another, like school and sports and work. As KPBS reporter Max Rivlin-Nadler shows us, one group of young adults is reaching out to other teens to help.
The county and state have resources for young people, but they're not always reaching the people they need to during this time of increased isolation. In response, the youth advocacy group YouthWill is launching the Youth Emergency Resource Ambassador Program.
The young folks stepped forward and said, hey, these are the needs that are not being met. Here's a solution, here's the problem, and here's a solution. We always try to be solution oriented, right? So the young folks said, information is not receiving young people, that's the problem. And the solution is engaging young people in being the ambassadors and being the messengers to other young people here.
The ambassadors will be reaching out to other young people to let them know about access to mental health, financial and food assistance, and closing the technology gap now that school and libraries are closed. Warsun Arton is the youth organizer for YouthWill. She points to one example, menstrual products, as something that young women now need better access to.
Well, one of our campaigns around feminine hygiene products or like menstrual products. And that's because we recognized there were young people who relied on the schools or like whatever programs that they were part of in order to get those products. And because those institutions or those places are no longer open, they don't have access to those things.
The group recommended pairing food distribution with hygiene products to make sure they get into households that need it.
The group says that it plans to go beyond just connecting young people with existing help, but to advocate against budget cuts that might further isolate and impoverish youth, like those proposed for the city's internship programs.
The group plans to start reaching out to young people across the county this week. Max Rivlin-Nadler, KPBS News.
So Comic-Con 2020 is back on, or at least virtually. The pop culture convention was set for July at the San Diego Convention Center, but was canceled last month. Organizers tweeted a video promising free parking, no lines, badges for all, and a front row seat to Comic-Con at home. No details yet about the online event have been released. The full convention is expected to return to San Diego in 2021. The U.S. hit a major milestone last week, and it wasn't a good one. 14.7% of the workforce is unemployed. But while your day job may not be operating, there are still some industries who are hiring right now. Mandy Gaither has more.
Whether you've been fired, laid off, or furloughed, millions of Americans are in need of work now. Luckily, there are a number of employers looking to hire during this time. Here's where to look. Companies like Instacart, Postmates, and Grubhub have reported record demand for grocery and food delivery. Instacart alone has hired or plans to hire more than 500,000 shoppers. Pizza places and fast food restaurants are also posting positions, one Taco Bell even putting wanted flyers in customers' bags. And let's not forget about all that online shopping people have been doing from home. FedEx has over 850 positions it's looking to hire. Discount places like Dollar General and Dollar Tree have remained open during the pandemic, and they are still hiring. Pharmacies are another good place to look. CVS has reported sales have been through the roof. With so many offices and buildings forced to close, demands for private security to watch over these places has gone up. One company, Securitas, is encouraging those who have been furloughed from other jobs to apply. Some more places you'll want to check out: education, technology and entertainment, manufacturing. Whether you'll need this job for the long haul or just until things start to move back to normal, there are plenty of options out there. For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Contact tracers are needed in the fight against the coronavirus. Now, Johns Hopkins University is offering a free online training course. Contact tracers track down anyone who might have been infected by a person who was recently diagnosed with the virus, so they can quarantine themselves and prevent further spread. The 5-hour course is open to anyone. Johns Hopkins estimates the U.S. will need at least 100,000 contact tracers to safely reopen.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, a dire warning. The top U.S. health officials, all in self-isolation, testify to Congress we face a long road ahead. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
An update now on our top story. 15 more lives lost to the coronavirus here in the county. 96 new cases also reported. It comes as Governor Gavin Newsom gave the green light for some offices to reopen along with malls for pickup only. The governor also laid out recommendations for dine-in restaurants, but so far only 2 rural Northern California counties are allowed to reopen. A small project at school delivered a big impact for families in need. 12-year-old Angel Velarde and a friend sold stress balls at Chula Vista Elementary. Together, they raised $100 and donated that money to South Bay Community Services. Touched by the boys' generosity, the nonprofit shared the story and then asked for matching donations.
Seeing all the family without money to get enough to drink or food, and it just and especially in this time of need, they need water and food. So that's one big reason why I donated.
And those matching gifts have grown the $100 donation to $10,000. Incredible. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley. And by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.